Hi folks, Michael Prescott here. This is a tutorial on how to do circular stairs. Circular stairs are a little bit tricky in isometric dungeons because there's a bunch of complexity to them. There's some overlapping shapes that makes it a bit challenging, but I'm going to break it down to make it as easy as possible for you to add these to your dungeons. So here's an example of some finished steps, and we talked about this in the stair video. You need to actually plan where your stairs are going to and from. And you can see that these stairs exist in, let's call this a 10 by 10 cylinder, and there's stairs coming in from, say, the southwest here, going northeast at the top. So there's an underlying structure to this, which is pretty straightforward. So you can see that all of these stairs, there's only 8 of them. It's a little bit chunky, so let's consider this kind of illustrative steps. I imagine on your map, these will be quite a bit smaller. But the other regularity is that each one occupies exactly 1/8 of the total height. So that's also pretty straightforward. So without further ado, let's get to the basics. Okay, so there's going to be 8 stairs. I'm going to number them 1 through 8. Depending on how you are traveling around your drawing, you're going to have your stairs numbered differently. In this diagram, this might be step number 1 and this is step number 8. But I'm just going to show you from this orientation. So what's the anatomy of a step? If you're going to draw a bunch of these steps, you have to know how to do a single one. So as you can probably see, there's a central post, and I'm going to draw half block thick steps. You've got a decision to make about how high you want your steps, but this is the height of my central post. It's only going to be 1/2 a square, and I'm going to pull this down like that, and I'm going to draw let's draw step number 7. So as you know from my circles video, when this distance is 2 squares, this distance is a shade less than 3/4 of the diagonal. So 3/4 of the diagonal of both squares. So I'm going to do stair number 7. So I'm going to bring a line from here to here. And my horizontal is going to be half the distance and then almost 3/4 the distance. And then bring that down. And since I'm doing half a square tall, half a square, match that shape approximately, and there you go. So there's a step number 7. So you need to learn how to draw steps in all of those orientations. So there you go. Here's steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Get some practice and draw those independently. That'll give you the ability to draw stairs that don't just look like this, but have the doors in different locations, because obviously if somebody's coming in over here, they're going to need step 1 to be over here. All right. So what's next? Let's block in the space where my actual staircase is going to be. So again, let's make it the same kind of staircase. And again, let's call this 10 by 10. So I've got this subdivided conveniently. You might have to do that with your pencil if you're drawing a very small set of stairs. It's going to go up 20 feet to another floor with a door on the back side. So this is, in my grid, 8 squares tall. So here's a ruler that's going to show step 1's share of this central pillar is going to be here. Step 2's portion of that central pillar is going to be here, and so on. All right, let's get rid of my ruler. What else? Let's just do it. So, okay, with isometrics, you have to draw the nearest things first. These stairs have the interesting property that they don't overlap horizontally other than the central pillar. So what I recommend is you start drawing them from the top. And let's do that. So I'm gonna block in my central pillar. Let's have it about this wide. And we'll come down like that. Okay. So now I said I'll start at the top, so let's start with step 8. So you know what, actually, to make this more interesting, why don't I show these stairs in a different orientation? So let's pretend that our door is over on this side, right? And then we're going to exit on this side. So in my case, let's put step 8 here, and then we'll work our way down. Okay, so start here, and as you know from the circle video, when you want to draw how how far down this post should I draw my pie slice? Well, the answer is, as always, 3/4 plus a hair shade less than that. So come down to about here, almost 3/4. And I'm using Photoshop, obviously, but you could be doing this with a blue marker that you're going to Photoshop out later. And let's make the thickness 1 square. There you go. Okay, that's step 8. So step 7, I'm going to pop my ruler back on. You can see step 7 is going to go from here to here. That's its share of the central pillar. So let's do, you can see, well, actually step 7 is going to be like this, 2 out this way. And again, it's going to come down 3/4 distance, half, shade less than 3/4. The top curve, thickness we said was 1 block, thickness 1 block. Great, there's stair number 7. Okay, actually I'm going to draw my wagon wheel out here because I just want to have a quick reference for how I've organized these stairs. 3/4. So I said this is going to be 8, 7, 6. It gets really important to do this when you are doing the stairs behind. It can get pretty confusing. And I'm just being really rough about this one, because this is just to help me remember what the curvature of each step is. All right, there's my wagon wheel. Okay, so step 6 you can see is going to be out here. Pop my ruler back on. The top of step 6 starts out here. So we go all the way out, and we go that same 3/4 distance. That's the width of the stairwell, and then we come out from here, out 2 blocks. So again, here's the curve that joins those two, like that. And as always, it's 1 block tall. And now I can start to see the bottom of the sort of the rear riser, I guess, the underside riser, and pull that up to there. All right, there's step 6. Okay, step 5 is nice and funky. I need my ruler to even tell where that's going to go. The far side will be along here. The near side will be here. I can't actually see step 5, the top of it anyway. None of it actually shows, but what I can see is the bottom. Here's the bottom of step 5, and that'll be a horizontal line out to my 3/4 and a shade less than 3/4. So we're basically just looking at the solid side, the solid back of step 5. 4 is also funky. We're not going to see any of the top, but we're just going to see the bottom of it. So I'm going to start from the bottom of step 4 here and head out this way. So there's the back of step 4. All right, now step 3, I guess we're coming out of the woods. Step 3, let's go up again. And how tall is step 3? Again, it's 3/4 of my radius to there, out to there. So you can see, I mean, I'm doing this pretty speedily. It's only because I've done a bunch of these stairs. This really does help practicing your stairs in different orientations. There's step 3. And then step 2. Oh, I've done step 3 too low. Look at that. I've made a mistake. So I'm going to back up. Didn't follow my own advice. Look, step 3 actually belongs here. So, thank goodness for erasers. 3/4 height. Look at me talking about how good I am drawing stairs, and then I do it in the wrong spot. Measure twice. Erase twice. I've done it again. I think the drugs have kicked in. All right, let's get this right. Let's do the top of stair 3 is here, and the bottom is there. Okay, hang on. And it comes up 3/4 distance. All right, step 2. So again, we've already got the top back of step 2, but the horizontal is my 3/4, almost 3/4 out. Down 1 and across. And step 1 to finish off. So this can look a bit brain-boggling because we don't have any texturing on. On these final stairs, I put some shading so you can kind of see. So you can get to this point and kind of go, I'm not really sure that I did it right, but it is right. And it's easier to see when you have done some inking. So let me get my slightly, this is a good size. Let's do the center post. And here you just have to be really patient and remember the 3D volumes that you've drawn and just understand which bits are in front. Again, I'm going to ink from the top. So what I haven't shown, and I don't usually do until the inking stage, is that the center post doesn't actually, you don't see the tip of the pie slice because the center post kind of cuts that off. Step 7. I'm not showing what kind of environment these stairs are in. These kind of look like they're freestanding stairs, which I guess you wouldn't really get in a castle because the weight is partially borne by the outer wall. I guess this brick would extend into the wall, but the same rules apply if you're doing like steps with wooden or metal risers that are free floating. If you were doing kind of a cylindrical room, you would draw your circle up here to show the stairs are inside this cylindrical stone space. But I'll leave that as an exercise for you to finish, depending on where you're putting these things. So again, the tip of my pie slice gets cut off a little bit by the center post. So there you have it. It doesn't take too long once you know what you're doing, and as you saw, even if you know what you're doing, you can make mistakes, so keep your eraser handy. Why don't we polish off the environment this is in a little bit. So you need enough clearance so you don't bang your head, so let's assume there's some kind of, this is where the ceiling, there's like some kind of floor piece here, let's say. So there'd be some kind of texture to that. And this is the floor you can actually walk on, so I'll erase this line to make the landing room that you're actually in when you get to the top of the stairs. And I'm gonna really exaggerate, like I sometimes do, the outlining to show depth, just to help it read a little bit more clearly. So This is touching the outer wall, so I'm going to make a line that's fat and gets skinnier to the end. This is nice and fat. This is all fat down here. And then it comes in a bit because of that pie slice. And then this is all pretty fat till you get close to the bottom and you start to get close to the floor. And this is just going to be a mess of fat lines because these are not touching one another. And we got this depth to show here. And again, these touch, so I'm going to angle that depth. This is nice and far away from the center pillar. And I'll taper that as it gets close to the corner. Anyway, I think you get how this works now. All right, and one last little bit here, just to show that depth. But the corner of the step is pulled away from from step number 7. There you go. What else could we do? I guess we could just add a little bit of texturing. I've used shading over here. I wouldn't normally do that in my dungeon design, so let's pull off some of this stuff and do a bit of, put some dungeon crumbs. That's too skinny. This would all be nice and dark around here. I've talked before about how important it is to get the texture lines, moving with the shapes to help reinforce the 3D aspect of it. Let's have some slime on this step. Yeah, these are some pretty gross stairs, it looks like. This wouldn't be the Earl's Castle, but some haunted horror place. Maybe outline where the bricks, and let's put some dungeon slabs here at the top. All right, super speedy. And I guess that would be nice and dark, wouldn't it? There you go, circular stairs. Do you want to do white outlines? Sometimes I do. Just to help reinforce that depth again. Now I never do this in a traditional drawing, obviously, until I get it into Photoshop to scan it, because I've got some white, a white ink pen, but it just doesn't, it's just not quite there. All right. Perfect. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Hope that was useful. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments below or hit me up on Google+, and have fun drawing your isometric stairs.